Thwip thwip. Hey everyone, welcome to Prince of the Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we're here with a first impression to your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So, this is a new MCU series that just came out today. It came out with 2 episodes. There's going to be 3 episodes for the next 2 weeks each. And then the week after that is going to be 2 more. So 10 episodes total. Now, for those who don't know, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is a new animated series that is part of the MCU. But it's kind of within the multiverse. Because this does not take place in the same universe as Tom Holland's Spider-Man. That's not the Spider-Man we're following. We're following a completely different Peter Parker here. And this series was getting a lot of attention in its marketing because of certain decisions it was making, such as making Harry and Norman Osborn black. And this was a decision that a lot of people chose to showcase their racism about. It caused a lot of racists to come out and start attacking the series and declaring that it was going to be like this woke nightmare and everything. And it was really just kind of sad and pathetic. It's really just pretty sad. And it got to a point where a lot of people were writing off the show, like, obviously before even seeing it. They didn't even want to give it a chance because of that. And I'm looking up something here because I want to make sure I get this name right. Give me just a second. Hudson Thames, it might be Thames. The actor who plays Spider-Man in this, even just I think the other day, um, made a comment. There was like this interview about it, and he was talking about how he was glad that the show wasn't quote unquote woke and everything. That he was afraid it was going to be. And it's really funny because everyone on social media is calling him out for being just terrible and all. Because anyone who uses woke as that dog whistle to attack people and everything, it's like, yeah, they're terrible. There's no getting around that. But not only are people clowning on him on social media, but it's also funny just in context because it's fucking Spider-Man. It's literally, by design, always been woke. Like, it's just like people trying to say this shit about X-Men. X-Men has always been woke. That's the point. Like, using woke in a way to describe media, in this case, that features and even in some cases focuses on minorities such as people of color or sexual minorities and stuff, the disenfranchised in general, and gives them a voice, gives them an outlet, gives them characters and themes and messages and episodes and plots and everything that give a focus to them. This is what a lot of dumbasses out there complain about nowadays, and it's like Spider-Man has always done that. Like, there's even this meme I've seen going around where it's like it shows like in the 90s or something, and it's like Peter Parker Spider-Man on a screen, and it's like thumbs up and everything and saying respect minorities, and the kid watching is going like Spider-Man. And then it's like now, and it shows Miles Morales doing the same thing, and what is presumed to be the same person who's now an adult wearing a MAGA hat is like woke DEI, angry face and everything. And it's like, it's funny because it's kind of pointing out the hypocrisy and the stupidity behind it, because it's always been like this. And again, X-Men too. It's like these are series that were created by like the likes of Stan Lee and all for the purpose of spreading these kinds of messages. X-Men is about mutants who are constantly discriminated against, legislated against, and treated as second class citizens, and having to learn to find family within each other in order to, survive and fight against those discriminating people in the world. It's always been about that. That's the entire point of X-Men. And Spider-Man, you have a kid who's, very smart, exceptionally tech savvy, but he's poor. He's this young, helpful, kind kid who doesn't have a lot of money, doesn't have a lot of status, fighting against people who are bigger than him, not in terms of physicality, though a lot of times, but in terms of their positions in life, their riches, their wealth, etc. You have like the likes of Norman Osborn, the head of Oscorp, who is this massive, rich asshole. You have Kingpin, and so on and so forth. You have these villains who represent, in a lot of ways, the capitalist society. And our hero is is someone fighting for the disenfranchised, the weak, the victimized, the people who are being targeted by those kinds of people. He fights for them. He protects them. That's the entire point. We have a street level hero who focuses on protecting and serving those who are unable to do it for themselves against much bigger enemies, much more wealthy and important and powerful enemies. And sometimes the comics and the shows and movies and stuff even focus on villains who are also disenfranchised and driven to villainy through that kind of pain and through being treated like shit and everything. It touches on that side of things too. Even the more recent Tom Holland movies do that, like with Vulture and everything, and how he was being, him and his people were being mistreated and mishandled after everything that happened with the other Avengers stuff and all. But that's always been a thing. It's just wild to me that the guy who's voicing the character is so out of touch with the character. It's like, did you not do your research when you went into this? Or are you just, like, you knew about Spider-Man? And it's just like, okay, cool, I'm playing Spider-Man. I'm playing a superhero. But it's like you didn't actually research into what the character was about at all. Because that's the only thing that makes sense here. Either that or you're just a dumbass who never understood the point. It's wild to me. But we're gonna give this a chance and see what it's like, because I'm hyped for it. I like everything we've been seeing from it. I believe Zeno Robinson is voicing Harry, so that's exciting. I heard there's a lot of characters who are like lesser known characters from the Spider-Man comics being brought into here. A lot of minority representation. And I'm excited for that. I know there's a lot of people out there who are going to be bitchy and who are going to be whining and crying about DEI and woke nonsense. I'm here for it. Though I am kind of mildly concerned over the fact that Hudson Thames did say, oh, I was worried it was going to be woke, but it's not. It's like, that does concern me a little bit. Because it's like, what does he mean by that? I don't know. But I'm curious as to see what this is. And for those who are new and don't know what a first impressions reaction is, let me explain that real quick. So a first impressions reaction is something I do here on the channel where I give a series that I'm not quite sure if I want to react to well, first impression. I check out the first episode or so and decide whether it's something I want to continue reacting to, watch on my own time, or something I'm just not interested in and I'm going to drop. I make the decision based off the first episode because it usually gives me a good enough vibe as to how I'm going to feel about the series. And some shows I just don't want to react to. I'd rather watch them on my own time. It feels like sometimes it just feels like a show that is better for that. Something that would be better for me to, like, lie in bed at night and just, relax to. Ironically, I do that with Squid Games. Not the most relaxing series, but still. You get the point, though. And so that's what we're going to do here. We're going to check out the first episode. I know the first two both released at once, but we're just going to check out the first one today. We're going to check it out, and I'm going to determine if this is something I want to react to in the future, watch on my own time, or something I'm just not interested in. It's more than likely going to be one of the first two, because Spider-Man is actually my favorite Marvel superhero, like, by far. It's not even close. Like, as much as I do enjoy Captain America, or the Hulk, or Iron Man, or Miss Marvel even, Spider-Man has always been my favorite Marvel hero since I was a kid, and always will be. He's just, it's what he stands for, and what the themes and messages of Spider-Man are. Again, standing up for the little guy. And it doesn't matter which Spider-Man it is either. Just Spider-Man in general as a core character, I guess. It could be Peter Parker, it could be Miles Morales, it could be Gwen, it can be any of them, really. Which is why the Spider-Verse movies are so great, because you get all of them. But yeah, I just like Spider-Man in general. So I'm probably going to really enjoy this, but it's a matter of, do I think this will be something I want to specifically put time and effort into reacting to, especially with as much as is already on my plate. But we're going to see. So let us get into this and see what we have in store for this series. Hold up just a second there. Before you click that link down in the description below to go to today's reaction, I just wanted to take this moment real quick to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, with 2 on Wednesday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. And don't forget about all the awesome gaming content over on the Princess of Gaming channel. Every single day of the week, we have some awesome Let's Plays for you. A bunch of different things to check out, and more coming in the future. And don't forget to click that subscribe button or like the video if you really enjoy the content I'm putting out. There will be more to come in the future. In the meantime, thank you so much for tuning in, and let's get this going. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So when I was growing up, even prior to seeing like the likes of Batman the Animated Series, which I saw very young because of when it came out and when I was born and everything, my very first superhero was Spider-Man. I saw the animated series. I got multiple toys and everything. I always loved Venom growing up. Venom was always one of my favorite Spidey villains because I just thought he was like really cool. That's pretty much what it came down to. But yeah, Spider-Man was my first superhero. Was the one that kind of introduced me to everything. And it was because of Spider-Man that I got into Batman the Animated Series and started checking out other superhero things. And it just kind of grew from there. And obviously into adulthood and stuff, I've still loved Spider-Man. I've seen all of the live action movies, a bunch of animated projects. Not all of the animated projects, mind you. I've seen the first PlayStation Spider-Man game played. I've played the second one on the channel and everything. Once I got my PS5, because I got the package deal PS5 that came with the game. So it's like I've always been a big Spider-Man fan. And going into this, like, because of that, even though I was never really a comic fan, never really got too big into the comics and all, I went into this expecting to like it. You know when you just go into a show and it's just like, this is something you're going to be into. You can just tell. But the reason I did a first impression for this is because I didn't know if it's something, again, I wanted to react to, or if it's something I would rather watch on my own time. That was more of the question for me. And coming out of this, there's actually a lot of surprising elements to this that I wasn't quite expecting in regards to how things went, in regards to, changes from the norm. But I like that stuff. I like it when things are different and are able to stand out. I don't want every version of Spider-Man to just be exactly the same, because then it's like, what's the point? You're just watching the same thing again. So yeah, I was really surprised by certain changes and updates they made, and just differences. And you can do that with a multiversal concept. I went into this, again, I saw like one trailer. I knew what the style looked like. I heard about like different actors who were in it. But I didn't know much about like where the actual story of this was going to go. I didn't like have like a huge amount of knowledge going in. There's a lot of people out there who will watch every trailer, like find out every bit of information that's released ahead of time that they can before they go in, and actually give it a chance. I want to go in blinder than that. I want to be able to not know what I can. And I only checked out like the one trailer and some of the info here and there. Kind of, the trailer was on purpose. The trailer I checked out because I wanted to see what it was like in terms of the visual style. The other stuff I found out, I just kind of happened upon. And then you heard, again, I mentioned the controversy with, just recently, the past couple days, with Hudson Thames, and the controversies people were trying to make up over, Harry and his father being black and stuff like that, and, just racist bullshit and stuff like that. The diversity people were attacking. And so I've heard about a lot of stuff through that kind of thing too. And watching this, it's also wild to me that Hudson Thames was like, "Oh, I was worried this was going to be woke and everything, but it's thankfully not." It's like, did you even watch the show? What? Because it's like, by the standards of people who use that term like that as a dog whistle and everything, by the standards of people who like to bitch about shows being woke, this would be super woke. Because it's Spider-Man. I mean, you have a criminal who's captured and is let go because of her circumstances. You have an entire focus on Lonnie here, coming from a tough part of town, being profiled by a police officer, being literally looked down on because of the color of his skin by an old woman and her grandchild, or something like that. And it's like, what? The main character's best friend is queer, and directly said that she was hoping that either Peter or herself would end up getting together with the girl. I can't think of her name right now. But it's like, this is, of course, very Spider-Man. This is like what Spider-Man is supposed to be. But it's like, by the standards of people who say shit like, oh, this show is so woke and it's DEI nonsense and all, this would absolutely be that by their standards. It's just, it's wild to me that someone could watch this and think it's not like that, while also bitching about things that are like that. I'm just confused, I think, more than anything. Um, that being said, as someone who has grown up with Spider-Man and being one of my favorite heroes of all time, has grown up with like Spider-Man being my first hero, and while I'm not like the most knowledgeable and everything, I've still always been a big fan. And as someone who has been like that my entire life, like I love this. Like it very much captured the feeling of Spider-Man, like down to a T. Um, it integrated some new things in, having the spider come from another universe when Doctor Strange and the symbiote came through. That was unique because there's been various origins on how the spider ended up biting Peter or Miles or whoever else. Um, but I don't think this is one that's usually done for Peter. Multiversal stuff and everything. So having it come from there instead of like a lab or something. Actually going into this, I thought it was going to be like something from like Oscorp, something Norman was doing that caused it. But no, instead it's just it came from another world, wherever that Doctor Strange and symbiote were from. Which I feel like that's definitely got to come back into play. Um, I don't think Lonnie Lincoln has ever been like a fellow student of Peter's before, though I might be wrong on that. Because when I think of Lonnie Lincoln, I think of him as Tombstone. And it's like, he's usually notably older than Peter. Because, like, take Spider Man 2, for example. You see Tombstone in that, like, he's like, what, a 40-year-old guy? Maybe even older? And, like, yeah, Peter's, like, out of high school and even out of college age at this point. He's, like, 30, but still. They're not, like, that close in age. Actually, he's probably more around, Tombstone is probably more around 50 in Spider Man 2. The point is they're like 10 to 20 years difference and everything. It's like, yeah, they wouldn't have been in high school together. And again, I haven't read all the comics. I know there's a lot of different like multiversal stuff they do with Spider-Man in the comics, a lot of different versions. So maybe there is a version that has had Lonnie in school with Peter before. I just don't know of any personally. That's just a me thing. um, Nico, I don't think I know. I think she might be a new character for this show, which I'm fine with. I'm fine with them introducing like original characters. Obviously, we got a little bit of Harry in this episode, um, though we didn't get the connection with Norman yet. But you can kind of tell by their color coordination with wearing the green and all. um, I wonder how long it's going to take to actually forge that connection, like to create it within the series. Or are they going to try to hold out on it, even though anyone watching this who knows Spider Man knows who Harry Osborn is? I don't know. They might hold off on it. Um, but I like what they're doing with the characters so far. Peter feels like Peter Parker. There was like a part in the trailer that I saw. It was like, I think the first trailer that was released for this. There's a part where he felt very off with the things he was saying and all. And he felt like, I guess the best way to put it would be too confident. But from what we're seeing in this episode, I think he kind of like pretends to be confident at times to try and look better. But he's actually super awkward about it, which that actually works very well for him. I like that. I like that we get to see his intelligence at work. We get to see not only in terms of other Spidey powers, we get to see his strength. We get to see his agility and all. I don't think we really see the spider sense in this. At least not if they're going to like have a notable like visual for it. We do see him act on instincts and agility a lot more, but I don't think we actually see specifically the spider sense. Like I said, I like the new outfit, the unique outfit design for this. One of my favorite parts of the Spider-Man games, the Sony Spider-Man games, is the outfit choices. The fact that you can get all these different outfits that are references to different outfits from the comics and whatnot, or from movies and everything. Like Spider-Man 2 had like costumes based on like the Amazing Spider-Man movies. And it's like, that's just cool. That's just cool. And it's like shit like that. And you get just various designs for both Peter and Miles. So it's like there's just so much just great shit in the works there. And this outfit I think is really cool. And I think that whenever Spider-Man 3 ends up coming, I think they could probably put this outfit in the game. I think that would be really cool. But we also see Peter is sketching in his notebook like the more iconic classic Spider-Man look. So I wonder if he is going to build up to getting that look. Because I've heard that I've heard that there's like 3 seasons already greenlit. I think the third season was just confirmed the other day. Which it's wild. It's just wild for shows to greenlight more seasons before the show actually comes out. Like, yeah, certain critics will get to see it ahead of time and whatnot, but you're really going to show off, or you're really gonna greenlight before like mass like um viewership happens, because that's why we ended up getting like a season 2 of that Velma series, because it's like they greenlit it for 2 seasons right off the bat. The first season was so fucking horrible and nobody liked it. It got like the lowest ratings of any animated series. But they had to do the second season because it was already greenlit, it was already contracted. And so they had to go along with it and couldn't cancel it until after that. It was pathetic, it was sad. And it's just it's so bad. We need to stop greenlighting shows before they get their wide release, before we know how they're gonna do. Um, but yeah, I really really enjoyed what this did. And I loved the parts that really did feel like Spider-Man. The stuff I was talking about with the themes and messages and all. The scene where he is convincing the pizza shop owner to let the woman go, I really thought like since there was a help wanted sign, that he was going to offer her a job, and that might still come into play in a future episode. Like maybe Peter ends up going back there and seeing that she's working there now. That would be really cool, actually. That would be a really cool way to bring that back. But even without him offering at first, that scene was the most Spider-Man scene in the entire episode. No wall crawling, no whipping through the city, no fighting bad guys. Just Spider-Man fighting for the disenfranchised and trying to help someone who needs help. Even though that someone was, doing a bad thing, had stolen money. He saw that she was a person in need and reached out to this pizza shop owner to not press charges, to not, like, go after her, or turn her in or anything because of her circumstances. That is what Spider-Man is all about. Again, you can't have Spider-Man without it being woke, because that's what Spider-Man is. That is the point of the character. And again, one of the reasons why I liked him from childhood, like even before I, turned a lot of things about my life around because I was not always the best person, it still was something that stuck with me. It's like, this is what being a hero is. This is what it means to be a hero. It's not cool action stuff. That's just a bonus. A hero has to be kind. A hero has to be, like, a good person above anything else. I'm really happy with how this episode and that scene especially went down. But yeah, I just I think this feels like so exceptionally like Spider-Man. As for the visuals, because again, people were complaining about the visuals, and one of the comments I saw were like, "Oh, people in the background and stuff, or even in the foreground in some shots, aren't even moving and stuff." And it's like, okay, have you seen it within context, or did you just see a random clip cut out from an episode that was shown on social media? Because context matters. And yes, there were moments in this episode where it's like they show shots where some people are standing completely still and everything. But stylistically, it not only works, but almost feels necessary. Like, you could argue, like, oh, it makes them feel less like characters and more like just set pieces. And it's like, well, they're not really characters in the first place, um, to be fair. But on top of that, these background characters who are just standing still allows what your focus is supposed to be on in each scene to pop, while also keeping the the visuals packed with information. They're like, when you're in and around a crowded area in New York, there's going to be people around. You can't just take those out. But because of the style of this series, focusing on a very comic booky style, you still want the attention to be on certain parts of the screen, whether it be Peter or some specific dialogue going on, etc., etc. And so that's what your attention is supposed to be drawn to. The rest of the stuff just gives you like peripheral information. It allows you to understand what's going on around where you're already focusing. This is this is good visual storytelling. This is how it should be for this style specifically. I should specify here, because this style, because it matters on how a show is done, whether in live action or animation, but especially in animation. Because if a series is focusing on a very specific style, you have to align with that style, and this does that. If you had all of the random background people moving around constantly too, it would be kind of an overloading sensation with the style of the series. It would be too much visual information that would be just distracting. Sometimes you do things for the sake of of the style. And there's been like various shows and games and whatnot where people will complain about certain aspects of things and wish it was more like realistically drawn or had better graphics in terms of games and stuff. And I more often than not am on the side where I'm actually defending the media and fighting against the people saying this by telling them, no, the style is more important than the overall like realism or super high quality graphics. Um, for example, when Pokemon Scarlet and Violet came out, people were bitching everywhere. It's like, oh, we're in what was it that it came out, 2023? We're in 2023 and Pokemon games still look like this. It's like, yes, because it's a style. It's supposed to look like that because that's what Pokemon games look like. Pokemon games adhere to a certain style. The graphics can increase, and they do. Scarlet and Violet look much better than even Sword and Shield did. The graphics have increased. But they keep the style because that is what makes it Pokemon. You really can't do Pokemon with like hyper realistic graphics. It would not work. It's the same reason I didn't like Twilight Princess with the Legend of Zelda series. Because Legend of Zelda is also a very stylized series, and it kind of requires it to have a stylized look to it. Twilight Princess had a certain style to it for sure, but it was trying to be more quote unquote hyper realistic with the graphical standards of the times back on the GameCube and Wii. It was trying to align more with that, and it just, in my eyes, it did not work. It was so visually distant from what Legend of Zelda normally looks like. And right after that, right after the next big game in the series was Wind Waker, right? So they went the complete opposite direction. It's like, oh, there were people complaining about the just super dark and gritty, hyper realistic look of Twilight Princess. Um, let's do the complete opposite and make everything super cartoony, which also is questionable. Because Zelda usually has a good balance kind of in the middle with that. But the point is, it went too far with Twilight Princess. And a lot of people do agree with me on that. There are a lot of people as well who don't think it makes a difference or don't think it hurt anything and still think Twilight Princess is great. And that's fine. It's all subjective. But there are a lot of people like me who think that it was too dark, it was too gritty, it tried way too hard to be more realistic in visuals, and it just looked ugly. It just looked ugly. It didn't feel like a Zelda game. But with this, you have a series that is trying to emulate a more comic booky style while also adding in its own visual flares, and I think it works excellently. Like, you understand where it's going visually, you understand what it's trying to do, and it captures that feeling, in my eyes, perfectly. The motion looks good, the actual animation of it, and I really like how it's stylized. I think it just succeeded at what it was trying to do. The voice acting was all great. Even Mr. Anti Woke Hudson Thames was good. I won't deny that. As sucky of a person as he seems to possibly be. But I don't know. I guess we'll see how it goes. Um, I'm very interested in the story as well. Like the Peter Parker stuff with like his crush and everything is pretty interesting. I like how he's like only a few months into Spider-Man, still picking things up. Like you even see him mess up on his web swinging at times. Um, but I also like the stories they're doing with like Lonnie so far. I'm very curious about these other characters and what they're going to do with them. I'm very curious about the multiverse stuff with the symbiote and Doctor Strange and if we're going to see them again. Now, there's 10 episodes, so there's a lot of room to work with here. And I think it's going to go very well. I have high hopes for this series. So the question is, do I want to react to this or do I want to watch this on my own time? And this is actually something I've kind of been thinking about as I've been doing these afterthoughts because I haven't been quite sure. I haven't been completely clear on that. Because there's a part of me that wants to react to this because I haven't really reacted to much of any Spider-Man content, I believe. I've checked out like another show or two, but I think as a first impression, but never actually went into it. Like there's one other show that I checked out. I don't remember which one it was. Last year, and I don't think I liked it that much. I think I had like a bunch of issues with how it was like introducing stuff and how it was like rushing through plot points and whatnot. Um, but this one's a lot better. This one's really good, and it's like, do I want to put the time and effort into reacting to it? Because here's the thing: if I put it on my list for future first impression continuation reactions, I'm not going to be able to get to it right away. Mind you, that happens with a lot of things. Or I could watch it right away just on my own time, as I do. And so it's kind of a matter of, do I want to put this off for a time, or do I want to get to it like right away? And that's what I've been struggling with. So I think I want to react to it though. Like my instinct is telling me that I want to react to it. And I think what I'm going to do in regards to that is I might fast lane it. So I might like push it like to the front of my list so I get to it sooner. Um I still don't know exactly when I'm going to be able to get to it. Um I do have a few shows ending in the next couple weeks though, so maybe at that point we'll see. We'll see. I might fast lane it because I think I really want to get to more of this. Because again, it's like it's something I haven't really done on the channel. Um, outside of like playing Spider-Man 2, but it's something I think I would love to actually react to. So I think that's what we're gonna do. I think I'm gonna put it on my fast lane. Give it a Six Flags fast pass. And when a spot opens up that I feel comfortable putting it in, first thing I can, I will. Which should be again in the next couple weeks because I have like I think 3 shows ending in the next couple weeks. Um, yeah, because Kid Cosmic is going to be ending. Um, what are the other? Link Click Bride and Arc, and I think there's one more. I think there's one more show that I'm currently reacting to. Hold on, let me check my schedule. I have it on my phone too. There's one more show that I think is going to be ending within like the next couple weeks that I could possibly put it into a slot for as well. Let me just bring this up real quick. Bleach, yes. Bleach is also ending after next week. So yeah, next week is the last episode for the first arc, the first core of Bleach Thousand Year Blood War. And as I already said, we're taking a break after the first core for that. But next week is also we're going to be finishing up Kid Cosmic season 3, which just finishing up Kid Cosmic as a whole, and Link Click Bride and Arc. So those 3 shows. So I might be able to replace it for one of those 3 slots, which is actually Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So one of those. Um, I'll think about what else I was thinking about putting in those slots, and we'll see. So just keep paying attention to the channel, and we'll see this come back eventually. But I really want to hear your thoughts on this first episode. What did you think of just how this story is being done so far, how the characters are being handled? What do you think of the visual style, the voice acting, the voice actors who are chosen for it? I love that Zeno Robinson is getting to be in so much more. He's so good. He's so good. Very different performance in this than he does like for Hunter and Owl House, um, or even like Hawks in My Hero. He's doing a more I feel like down to earth, less cartoony performance, at least based off of the little bit we heard of him in this episode. Which I'm fine with. I think that's great. It fits the character, I feel. But yeah, tell me your thoughts on all of that and more. in the comments. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.